It is a true honor, delight, a pleasure to welcome you to this conversation. A lot has been said this morning, and we are going to continue this dialogue. We will delve into the heartbeat of the industry, the new Indian luxury consumer. The luxury industry is going through a phenomenal, unprecedented evolution for the last few years. We spoke about a lot of different challenges we are facing, but one key driver that keeps the optimism is the consumer. The rise of the affluent consumer, a very digital savvy young generation of the Gen Zs and the millennials, a unique cultural context, which I spoke about India being in the world stage, and evolving exposure to the world's trends. All of this is creating a world of optimism about this industry. Joining me in this conversation, we have industry stalwarts and friends. Please welcome them once again on the stage, and thank you for being with us. We're going to start with something more personal. Stephane, this is for you. What is that first encounter, that first interaction, special interaction with India that left a mark for you?
Okay, interesting question. For me, probably one of my most memorable moment and time is that when we opened the store, our second store, because we opened 10 years ago, and we opened a second store more than 1 year ago, and that took a lot of time, a lot of effort from the team, and that when we just opened the door for the opening. So then when I stepped into the store and when I met my team there, I could feel the level of passion, of dedication, of vibrance as well in the team. Really a lot of about smiles and vibes as well. And you could feel this warmth into the team. And that was really a special moment for me to celebrate and to start a new journey.
Thank you. It's a country of energy. When we go back to Europe from India, we miss this dynamic, vibrant energy. You're totally right. Next question is to Gopal, Jay, and Sandeep. Personal again, but for still. What is that one secret that no one knows about the Indian luxury consumer? Gopal, would you like to go for it?
Yeah, thanks, Swagata. Secret, I think, in today's times is very difficult to keep. But let me tell you something, which we believe very strongly, we know, and a few others know, is that at Tata CLiQ Luxury, we do sell a lot of products which are priced from $10,000 to $50,000, right? Single piece. And you'll be surprised to know that these products are not bought from metros. These products are bought from customers who stay in Bhopal or Jhansi or Nagpur or Patna. And the more we get into this, the more we are surprised. Every review, when we create a map, okay, of India and see where the customers are coming from, okay, we frown and saying that, are we doing justice, to these customers? So it's a secret, no more. And these are the customers who are not only browsing, but shopping.
It's a reality now. Jay?
Hi. So I think more than a secret, I think it's a rule of thumb, I would say, Swagata, is I think as Indians and living in India and consumers of luxury, all of us, partly, whether it's watches, jewelry, cars, bikes, whatever, I think the buying of luxury is directly proportional to an emotion. I have never bought something just walking into a store and buying it. I mean, I will buy it if I love it, but there will be, okay, let me come back next week, it's the birthday, let me get my wife the bag because it's the anniversary, let me buy a watch because I got a raise in my job or whatever. So I think it's very rare to emotion. I don't think, most people in America would go into a store and buy a piece of luxury, just walking down or in a mall. I think India still has, I would say, 60 to 70% of luxury purchases related to an emotion. It can be any emotion. It doesn't have to be, it can be sometimes, like you said, revenge retail, which preceded COVID. I mean, after COVID, it could be any emotion, but there has to be an emotion to buy. It's just not buying for the sake of buying. So that maybe not a secret, but yeah, it's the formula that I follow.
I think, see, what I find, we've traditionally thought of Indians as NRIs, as resident Indians, and these two being distinct segments depending on where you stay. I think the trends we see, the trends I personally see is this line blur, right? And really the emergence of the global Indian who's confident shopping here in India, experiencing in India, experiencing around the world. Doesn't matter where you really stay, because information access is now prevalent, and you want to explore that as one common global Indian.
Absolutely. So there is an India and there are the Indians. So that's a very important lens to keep when we are building and having this conversation on our clients. The next question would be for Gopal, Stephane, and Jay. What is the significant shift that we are observing in the consumer landscape today? What are the key drivers? How is it impacting luxury brands or your respective brands? What is changing in reality? Gopal?
Yeah, so I think without doubt, one of the most significant shift that we have been seeing is rise of a digitally savvy customer, right? And I think at a lot of places, in a lot of symposiums, you have talked about this. This is the customer, who is going to thrust the momentum for online luxury buying as well in future. Now, the other things that we see in the shift is, interestingly, these customers, they have started prioritizing, meaningful experiences, wellness and quality over the brand status, right? So they want to be handled carefully. And then there are a few, new consumer cohorts which are coming up, okay? And I think Anurag has spoken a lot about, in his presentation on tier 2, tier 4 cities, how customers are coming up, okay? And absolutely the kite, it's the whole economy is like a kite, and the kite is bulging from the middle, and the middle class is increasing. So a lot of customers in non-metro cities are having high disposable income, right? And they are the ones now who are trying to get into luxury. Second, we define a customer cohort which is called Henry, right? High earners, not rich yet. This is the working population, right, who earns well and want to indulge in the luxury experiences. And lastly, everybody speaks about Gen Z. 377 million is the figure that we have today in India. And what we understand from various reports that this is going to be about 500 million by 2030. So 500 million Gen Z customers, all of them are on social media. So they are going to, define the consumption, and they are going to be very heavy in influencing the trends for luxury.
Thank you, Gopal. Stephane, would you go next?
Oh, true. I think for us, it's also this sense where we see like a significant number now of clients moving also to branded jewelry when it comes to jewelry. We see that for several reasons. Basically, there is also, of course, a rising wealth across the country, not limited anymore to New Delhi and Mumbai. That's what we saw in the presentation, I think, earlier, but also spread across the country. We see like the rising importance for us of new cities, or so-called tier 2, tier 3 cities, where there are like many industry and more understanding also of luxury. This is the first point, I would say. Second point is also, as Gopal said, this kind of a generational shift that we see now in the country with the rising part of the new generation Z and so on, with probably a different pattern. The way they embrace luxury and high luxury is probably a bit different. They are much more also international in a way. They have this kind of international experience because they travel a lot, so they can see what's going on overseas, and they also want to reflect and to enhance the experience inside. So this is a strong point of attention. And without any doubt, as well, this technology, kind of breaking barriers, digital as well, the power of digital, making luxury in a way more close to them on a daily basis, and the fantastic potential that we have across the country in digital.
Absolutely. I think there is internet and youth and its aspiration to be a part of the world cloud, which is a very interesting element that you're talking about, Stephane. Jay, what are your thoughts?
So, being in largely in the watch space, in the watch business now almost 18 years in India, very interesting when we started off in the early 2007 when, India was still, I still feel we have a long way to go, but in 2007, I remember, I won't say a brand, but most brands would say we would not launch this watch right after the show. It'll take 6 months or 7 months. It'll be launched in Europe first, then maybe America, depending on the demand-supply curve. Today, I can proudly say, at least with the brands that I deal with, the launch is globally at the same time. The Indian consumer is valued as very important. He and she travel the world. Growing up as a kid, if we took one international holiday in 3 years, it was wow. Now most people travel 3 times a year, maybe 5 times a year, depending on their schedule. So, the awareness has increased substantially, and then obviously we have something called social media, which everyone is on, and you see it flashing. Today you talk about a watch and it flashes to you 5 times in the morning, in the night. It'll just keep flashing on your screen. They'll show you which celebrity is wearing it, who's not wearing it, who likes it, who doesn't like it. So I think the awareness has gone up significantly. Indians as a race of people, I've never come across people who would still buy luxury largely on borrowed money. We are buying it because we have extra money. So what Gopal was saying, the towns where suddenly, a farmer who sold his land, kids going to study in a city or maybe abroad. I mean, what does he do with that money? He needs to get identified. He needs to show that he knows luxury. It's acceptance. So I think the shift has been very large to B towns and C towns and whatever you could call it, Gopal D towns also. I mean, it's going to get larger. I remember when I started, Delhi was the largest or one of the largest, markets for watches, which gradually changed. And I think today, Mumbai, Delhi might be very close, but rest of India is catching up in a very big way and growing very fast. So the shift has been education, shift has been travel, shift has been the brands realizing that we are an important market to sell us at the same time like the rest of the world.
Absolutely. Thank you. Sandeep, the next question is for you. With your wealth management hat, would you explain to us how are the Indians consuming, what are the categories they are investing in India? And as we spoke about Indians, how are the consumption habits seen with the travelers and the diaspora? Do they merge, are they middle grounds, or they are completely different? Thanks.
I think a great point. Let's start with investing. Let's flip it, right? I think we've been speaking about spending. Let's talk a little bit about investing, and I'll quickly come to consumption. I think on the investing side, obviously we've had our traditional favorites, right? Don't Indians love real estate, right? It's just been massive. It was only Indian real estate. Now it's becoming a little bit more global. People, as they get to the right segments, they want globality in that real estate. Gold's been a traditional favorite. Equities. You cannot have a conversation in India without talking about Indian equities and the emergence and the confidence and the rise of the SIP and the rise of the equity class. But what's really at the luxury level, what started to happen is alternate investing. We are the land of startups, right? We are the land of the unicorns, and we celebrate the entrepreneur, we celebrate the growth. And investors are looking increasingly to get larger shares of that India's growth story. Those many times are longer term investments, sometimes they could be late stage, but private investing is really coming of age in India. That also brings it with private debt, right? Where you could get a little bit higher yields, but you could actually get an equity upside as well. They could invest in dollar investing. Art obviously is still niche, but growing at a fairly rapid pace. And then as we spoke, you could now increasingly invest globally. Traditionally, Singapore has been that space which Indians have invested out of. Dubai has been growing, the Middle East has been growing. London's there, the US is there. We as HSBC are present in all these places to kind of connect the world and connect the Indian looking to invest both in India and overseas. The other interesting space, which there's a lot of conversation, is the gift city, which is the India's investment zone in Gujarat, which actually is the dollar space where global Indians could invest in India and Indians could invest overseas. So that's the Indians who are in India. The global Indian, we are one community which sometimes leaves India but never really leaves India, right? So because that belief that India would continue to grow, and we may want to be abroad, we may want to live that lifestyle. There could be a role, could be a job which takes us there, education which takes us there, but we remain connected back. We remain connected back with the culture, so consumption comes back there. We want to take an active investing opportunity in India. So that is why $130 billion of money comes back every year, and Indians remain the largest remitter of money back home to India. But Indians now are sending about $30 billion overseas, and both numbers growing at very healthy double-digit rates for a very, very long period of time. So that's on the investing side. On consumption, as we spoke, I think the emergence of luxury, both within India and overseas. You see travelers traveling a lot more than they did. They are the favorite places we all go to, the Singapore, Thailand, the Londons, the Europe, the US, but a lot of trips off the traditional track, looking for that luxury wellness, blending that in people's lifestyles. But then there are favorite travels, cricket and football, and you saw Dubai and 35,000 people in India and Pakistan, and many of them just there for 24 hours. So clearly, the trend on spends will continue. I think they will continue to diversify, and the Indians will continue to be more discerning as education comes to us.
So Agatha, if you allow me, I just want to add
Please.
something. I just remembered that this, never being forgotten kind of story which happened with me or in my organization where I used to work before. I've spent a lot of time in brick and mortar. And what I want to convey is that in India, you cannot tell about the consumer the way the consumer looks or the consumer is dressed. Yeah, I think that's a very, very important point. And I'll tell you what has happened, that there was this gentleman who walked into our store in a non-metro store. And he said in the local language that, show me which is the most expensive watch, in your watch area. Now, we had the sales associates, and looking at the gentleman, they realized that, perhaps this gentleman, can only do so much, and therefore they showed him something which was not so expensive, which they believe that this person can afford, right? And the person, and whatever I'm telling you is absolutely true. I'm not making it up. The person spent some time, talking to them and kept on requesting that I want to have something very good from your store. And finally, what happened that he got frustrated, and he was wearing a dhoti and a kurta, right? I'm sure you understand that dhoti and a kurta. He put his hand into his kurta's pocket, and he threw at least 7 to 8 credit cards, on the table, out of which many credit cards fall on the ground, and said, what do you think of me? I can buy your whole store. Now, this is the time when the store manager enters into the whole thing and saw that, somebody has thrown these credit cards, and he came and he apologized to the customer, took him to his cubicle, right? And finally, in a nutshell, the customer has come there because he wanted to buy 125 watches to be given to the family of the groom who was coming for his daughter in the marriage. So he wanted to buy the most expensive watch. And nobody was able to understand. And they were thinking, oh, what he will buy, and why he's asking for the most expensive watch. So the consumer, is still the same. The story might be about 8 to 9 years old, but the same consumer, you go into the interiors of Kerala or Karnataka or other south states, you will find these customers who are filled with wealth, but they need that kind of what I should say, velvet gloves treatment. I think pampering in India is extremely important for the customer. This will never go away.
And this is a absolutely, current story as well. And we speak a lot about how do we have to give that special attention to the Indian consumer who is very exposed to hospitality. Our services at home, is so, I mean, they're all so pampered that even when they go abroad, there is a great gap between what they receive and what they expect, So that's another conversation on how we have to train our ecosystem to receive the Indian consumer. But it's a great segue, Jay, to you, because we're going to talk about the watch industry. You being a watch connoisseur, would you speak to us about the fine watch opportunity in India? How is it different from the rest of the world? And how are our brands going to embrace this opportunity?
So, just putting in a nutshell, because the question you ask can have lots of answers and very long answer. I always believe that India has the potential for growth just like any other developing country in the world. The only good thing about India is once it reaches, let's say you start at 100, it's not going to go to 150 like China. It's not going to go to 200 like China. When we were setting up stores back in 2008, 9, 10, 11, India's the next China. No, I mean, that's never going to happen. I don't believe in that at all. However, I do believe that 10 to 12% growth that we see in the watch business every year after year, it can be for three reasons. One is the currency devaluation. I mean, when I started business in India, Swiss franc was 32, it's 100 now. So if you had just bought the Swiss franc as an Indian 15 years ago, you didn't do anything else in life, you'd be happy right now. But coming back to the watch business, I think it'll grow at 8-10% a year, irrespective. It's very difficult for a brand to grow more than that. I don't think that's a fair assessment of India, even though our markets have gone much higher, and today the spending in India is directly proportional to the stock market gains. I know businessmen who've not invested money into business and put money into stock market. Well, the silver lining there is, they've lost in the last 3 months what they made in 15 months. So I think the market in India will grow. I've always urged the brands to consider it important and launch novelties at the same time like the rest of the world, because as Indians we travel, and I know a lot of important clients, including, I would not call myself a very big warrior, but I mean, I would not like to be the second guy to buy the watch. I want to be first to buy it, just like everyone else. So I think we will grow, answering your question. I think we'll grow at 8, 10, 12% a year. Add the devaluation to it also. So I would say if you really had to look like a banker's numbers, I think we'll probably be at 16, 18% a year. But the actual sale growth will be at 8 to 10% for sure.
Thank you, Jay. Stephane, next one's for you. Bvlgari has been one of the leading brands with a tailor-made India strategy, embracing and embedding yourself in the local culture, creating India-specific products, having an Indian ambassador, addressing the wedding business, creating events that address the culture again, retail and online initiatives. You are setting the standards and creating excitement in the West about India. Would you share with us what has worked and why?
Well, for us, I mean, in a nutshell, I think first you need to embrace, I think, India with a certain sense of humility as well, and sensibility, because it's a special market with a unique history. And when it comes to watchmaking, when it comes to jewelry, high jewelry, and stones, we have a lot to learn from India and from the history here and what's going on, and also the future. So I think there is this sense of really a bit taking the time, taking the distance on why and how we want to embrace the market, the market India, but also the Indian clientele, like in home and also overseas. And as you said, there is this sense really quickly that we develop something really specific about India. This really custom-made in terms of communication as well, to really target different also, I would say, population. To have, as I said before, also kind of like really measured development, to really be extremely firm on our maison's value as high luxury jeweler and watchmaker. At the same time, giving also a sense of flavor by operating in India and being strong on the way we express our values to also create value for our client and for the company. And probably also to, in a way, if I may, to have a sense of building authentic connection. I mean, that's really, really the key, and also linked to this sense of humility that we need to have at the beginning. It's how also you create meaningful and authentic relationship with here with partners, with clients, and with the culture here. I mean, that's really a key direction for us at Bvlgari.
You're doing a great job, so congratulations. Gopal, we would love to hear from you about Thinking Beyond the Card, the latest compilation of Tata CLiQ Luxury, which is very interesting. And one key trend that has come out is stories being a powerful connector. So how can brands craft emotionally relevant stories and be relevant to the online consumer today? How do we do that?
Yeah, so I think one of the most important trend which we identified from this compilation was how stories are making connections. So the value of a powerful narrative has never been stronger overall. Okay? And it has become very important for the customer to ensure that they are targeting, the mind of consumer first or the heart of the consumer first, and then targeting the wallet share, which actually happens automatically. And the other thing which comes out that the emotional engagement is at the heart of storytelling, right? So every brand, when they are creating their narrative, it is very important for them to bring out the values of the brand, and the customer, kinds of resonates and trust the brands, okay, once they see that the brand is living similar values as they want to live. The other thing that it tells is, the story which the brand talks about, okay, it has to be integrated at uniform across the complete channels. A few other things like, community building, it is becoming extremely important to foster loyalty in the customers. And important thing is an engaged customer, a loyal customer, always talks about the brand, okay, to their friends, co-workers, okay, and it becomes kind of brand advocate. And lastly, just to see how we can take these connections further, let's take example of a global luxury brand, right? So while your product development can be global, right? You can still call out some, local things which resonates with the local customers. And, finally linking the whole, these common elements, okay, and creating stories and participating in local events, okay, or occasions can create a lot of connects with the consumer. So this was the most important thing which I found out. It is nothing new, but it is just emphasizing on the fact that storytelling of the brand is very important. And see, Gen Z millennials, they are the ones who are championing the sustainability clause, right? There is a lot being talking about that. And they actually are looking out for those brands who actually work around your sustainability part. So it's important that you communicate to the customer that how you are sustainable. That's it.
It's very important what you're saying, because it builds a second pillar and a reason of why we should rethink our strategies for digital, because till now we were thinking that actually digital is an e-commerce platform, but it is equally a brand building platform, and our investments and energy should be focused in the same way. A last question to all of you. How do we foresee the future, the next 5 to 10 years in India, with all the different exciting opportunities, the challenges? How are we going to navigate our brands to engage with India? It's for all of you, so please pick up the mic, whoever wishes to go.
I think the optimism in India is palpable, right? Which wherever you go, there could be that last quarter of slowdown, but the 5 to 10 year, the story, the optimism is large. The opportunity is very large. I think 5, 10, 15, 20 years, I think it's going to become an area of compounding growth. How do you prepare? I think, what are we doing to prepare? I think we spoke about the global Indian, we spoke about international connectivity. So we are clearly building that proposition, which allows an Indian to invest here in India, but globally. We are making things seamless. Everybody spoke about tier 2, tier 3 cities. We just got an approval to enter 20 more cities in India. So whether you're an NRI or a resident in a Lucknow or a Kanpur, you should have the same opportunity as somebody in a Delhi or a Mumbai to be able to access the international opportunities. You've got to partner, you've got to create. So we are at the Taj Hotel with HSBC and Taj, just created a product together in December and brought it to the market. So I think we will have to continue to think of traditional ways of growth, but also create opportunities which are beyond the conventional, and in the companies from different industries coming together to create products for the future. Right? And I think service will have absolutely to be at the heart of anything we do. I think what we did not speak about is AI. I think it will be disruptive. It will be delightful, but suddenly the shortage of intelligence is going to go away, right? For any of us who are interacting with AI, how will that impact the consumer? How will that shortcut the development process? How can it be an ally to the development of the future? I think I foresee that the future conferences around luxury would have a lot more AI coming in, and so therefore in our company, as we are thinking about the future, we're actively thinking about AI and how we can use that in our work. Yeah.
So, one more thing when you asked me about watches in India, I also believe what's really accelerated the sales of watches the last 2 years, and with all respect to all the fine jewelers, nothing against your businesses, but, people feel value in, and I think you'll agree with me, branded jewelry today, because it is a gray area between lab-grown and real diamonds. I don't want to get into more details and fights about lab-grown and real, what's better, what's not, because we can go on the whole day. But the brands will benefit because there is an authenticity certificate. There is there is a retail price of a watch which is universal. So I think a lot of newer couples, a lot of newer people who get married are shifting more towards watches than generic jewelry. That's just my opinion. I don't want to, again, raise a debate on that part. Like he said, tier 2, tier 3, I agree with the marketing part of the AI, but I think selling luxury will not require AI. I think the end client in India wants to be pampered and wants to be spoken to. However big or small my client.
I do although consult AI in how can I shortcut the waiting list, right? Which you have on many of the watches, right? So I did ask them a question.
Yeah.
The answers were not there yet, but I think they will get there, right?
Yeah. So coming back to this, I think he will still have to meet.
Yeah, we will immediately after.
Yeah, he'll have to go through one of us. And I always, I did give a lecture recently in a college for luxury, and I told the kids, I said, you guys are all AI, right? But forget one important thing, right? AI, the A is there, but if you don't have the I, it doesn't matter, right? It will never last you long, right? I think everyone in the luxury business has made a conscious effort in India of understanding the client. Yes, we have a very long way ahead. Clients are getting more and more demanding, but I think that's the nature of luxury. I think, like she said, in India, you send a watch to a client home, try doing it in Paris, they'll say, please go back home, we don't want to sell you, we send a watch home, we wait for the guy to give you money, take the credit card machine home. Doesn't happen in the rest of the world, guys, trust me, however big a client you are. So I think we have a way long process to learn, and brands are making a conscious effort, and I think we're on the right track for sure.
Yeah, indeed. For us, I'm totally in line with what has been said. For us, there is strong potential to extend our presence in India. There is still a lack of retail space, and we need probably in the future years to be able to showcase our creations beyond Mumbai, beyond New Delhi. When I visit Hyderabad, Bangalore, Kolkata, we have some clients there. We have some extremely discerning clientele there, knowing a lot about luxury, high luxury, traveling a lot as well. And for these people, we need to extend our presence. Digital, of course, with TCL is probably the best example of how we can accelerate and give traction to the digital space, this so-called 500 million soon potential that we have. And digital now is really truly a social part of not only shopping, but really enhancing the entire experience for our guests. And talking about the experience as well, with more and more, I would say, internationally exposed clientele. Again, extremely discerning. This is really a strong specific of the Indian client, the level of knowledge when it comes to luxury in general, high luxury, and this overall appreciation of beauty, appreciation of craftsmanship, appreciation of craftsmanship and jewelry. This is really unique. And this should lead us even more to craft some like dedicated experience in India as well for our esteemed clientele.
Gopal?
Yeah, so like multiple things. Yeah. I think all of us will agree. Personalization for the customer, okay, and especially in luxury, right? This is one way you pamper, right? You personalize, okay, and you treat customer the way it has to be treated, and in a much more fantastic way that customer feels. It's not about just spending that amount of money, right? It's also giving that experience, right? And in the store, you give it through physical touch, okay? And in the digital environment, you have to ensure that you create such kind of navigation, you show the right things, and once you deliver the product, how you are doing it. That's number one. And number two, which I very strongly believe with a few other people, is the opportunity for pre-loved. Okay, India for long has been, kind of people has been thinking it as a tattoo and not using this whole taboo saying that, yeah, I'm using a used product. I think it's getting over, okay, thanks to brands and people who are advocating it. Like I said, a lot of these Gen Zs, okay, they want to get to that brand, but they cannot get it because, it's still away from them. So pre-loved is going to be big in this country. There are some rules and regulations that we have to come across, but I feel that this is the next booming opportunity for India as a subcontinent.
Thank you. So two elements for the future, I think AI, pre-loved, and how are we going to put all of this at the service of creativity, craftsmanship, and the consumer is going to be really the pathway for the future. So thank you very much for these wonderful insights, and we will continue this conversation. If anyone has any questions, we'll meet at the coffee or lunch table around. Thank you very much.